So because we hit 1,000K, we can now do, I'm really excited to do like live study with me's, because it was actually such a struggle to do that with the other way, like before you hit 1,000K. Anyways, logistics. So I'm such a nerd and I just like really wanted to do this. So I feel like next time I'll try to actually like plan when I'm gonna do this instead of spontaneously do it. I just want to do this to make sure it works. But so I feel like I'll just do a study with me. So if anyone else is working on applications, right now I'm working on residency applications, or what we call in Canada CARMs. I believe in the States they call it ERAS. So that involves some like applications. I actually feel like I turned off chat, so I'm gonna pop that back on, and maybe like we could do like study and focus for a certain number of minutes together, and then can answer little questions about, you know, pre-med stuff, med school stuff, and I should really practice video. So just to start off with, if any of you guys are like, you know, pre-meds, I'm preparing for residency interviews and same as med school interviews. So you know, there's like, if you want more like a good proper video breakdown, why is this coloring so weird, breakdown of like medical school interviews and like how to practice for those, I kind of made another video somewhere with Elin, with my classmates, but I'm just going over the same resources that I had. So maybe I'll do an updated tips and stuff. I'll do an updated tips stuff after I do my own residency interviews. So sorry I'm not doing much practice with you guys. I know, so usually I like try to, whoever reaches out to me on Instagram and stuff, I like try to, or email, I try to arrange it, but I've been just really into the med school interview process, sorry, the residency interview process myself. Anyway, so today I'm just gonna go through this book. I never managed to get through the whole thing when I was practicing for med school MMIs myself, so I feel like I might as well use this book. It's a 2018 version, as you can see, back when I was applying. So I'm just gonna go through this, make some notes on how to kind of go back through, reminding myself what the interview process was like. And then I also have good old Doing Right. I also think I didn't finish reading through Doing Right when I was interviewing for med school and stuff, so do it as you will. Okay, let me see if I can figure out, if I can be smart enough and figure out how to, no, I have no idea how to do a live chat. It was really sad. That's really sad. Let me see, hold on. If I do this, will it exit the video? It will exit the video, okay. Anyway. So I have this guy. I really love this kitchen timer. This is from Daiso. I believe Daiso doesn't exist anymore, but it's a little Daiso. It's like a really simple little strawberry timer. Anyways, and then we're gonna go kind of 25 minutes and see how that goes, to kind of make some notes on this book. Thank you. I have figured out how to add live chat back in, so Okay. Hi, I'm taking a break and reading some of the questions in the chat. Let's see. This is Akshaya. I hope I said your name right. Hi. Thank you for tuning in. This is Jen Lily White. I hope you and everyone here have a wonderful Christmas holiday and Happy New Year. Thank you so much, Jen. I hope you and your family and friends also have a fantastic Christmas holidays and Happy New Year, and anyone else who is on this live stream. I have Rahul. You have a lot of messages all at once. I've just answered the last one because that's a lot. Doesn't help to spam me more times. I'm studying, but how are you? What are you typing in the laptop? I am doing well. As I mentioned at the very beginning of my live stream, I am typing. I just did a practice scenario for kind of practicing. I actually just practiced for an ethical scenario and just came up with an example of a conflict that I went through to use as an example. So I'm probably going to do a couple more of those. But maybe all of you guys are going, and whoever's the first commenter who said keep fighting. Thank you. Yes, actually, as Jen asked, are you currently preparing for CARMS interviews? Kind of, yes. Technically, I'm actually preparing for our Casper, so it's actually like the exact same thing that you guys write, I believe. I don't know if the questions are like, slightly more medical, etc. Than what you guys do, but same idea. If possible, any books, podcasts, or resource recommendations for preparing for the MMIs? Well, right now I have these two. I'm just reading through this one. I'm just about just now I kind of got up to page 90 or so of this book, and I do kind of like this. I think it has some good case scenarios, and it explains how they would answer it. So for example, this one's a good one. They're like they provide a case, so they said the issue they want you to talk about is overly long wait times for MRI scans. You're a consultant, what would you do? And then there's like a good approach, so talking about like categorizing this as an ethical health policy issue, the main problems, the wait times, what are the sources of issues, like not enough resources, not enough this, and how would you respond to it? And then think of it as you saw me typing away, how I'm going to respond to it myself. And then they have a response that you can compare to. I think MMIs were really hard to prepare for when I was applying to medical school, because like actually a lot of these are not as hard. I feel like they're not as hard now because you kind of encounter a lot of these scenarios when you're actually in medical school. Let me see. Other resources. I have a bunch of resources. Again, I haven't vetted them because I've been just saving them to use like now. I've just been finding them now to use for the Casper, so I'll just link them in the chat for you, Jen. And I'm going to use them too. Maybe I can share that. Oh, well, it's actually really messy. I'm making a pretty messy book thing about Casper, but let me see. Let me grab all those links that I've been accumulating for the Casper. But I mean, hopefully, I think again, like you can use them for the MMI. let me link. Here you go. I think that would link now. Give me 1 second. I'm done with technology, so this is not as smooth as I was hoping this would be. Ooh, you know what? I actually got contacted by a resident at Toronto who said he or she or they started a website that is for practicing Caspers. That's totally free, so not one of those companies. Not saying there's anything bad with that. If I had the money, that would be really a good resource. But I believe they have it where you go on and you get to record yourself practicing like Casper scenarios, or maybe you can probably do the same thing for your MMI stations as well, and then you kind of get another person who's preparing for Caspers or MMIs to like review them against a set of criteria, and then you kind of share and you use that as like ways to give yourself feedback, and you can share with different people, and it's completely free. It's on my Instagram, but right now I have Instagram blocked because I'm studying, so I will find that out, and if I can remember, I'll try to link it in the description of my next like vlog that I put up. Let me write that down somewhere. Is it for my to-do list? Find Casper practice site, web link next video. I have no, maybe you probably know better than I do. But I ended up, so like the couple things that I found helpful at UBC, I wonder if they have a modified version now that things can't be in person, but at UBC there was like that big like MMI practice group that would like meet every, like there would be like tons of sessions a week, and it would just like other students preparing not only for medical school, I don't remember if it was dental school, but dental, physio, all sorts of people. And I found that actually really helpful. I personally found it intimidating to work with other people applying for medicine, so I really appreciated working with, I ended up working with, I think, a lot of the PT students, and then just like meeting up, and then I think I brought this book, someone else had like wherever they got these questions from, and going through practice. I do think the actual questions that you practice don't matter as much as just getting used to talking to a stranger and like talking out loud. Like it's just like it's a weird thing to do, to like talk by yourself straight for, it was like 6 or 7 minutes depending on the school. What else was I saying? And so and then closer to the interview, I had a couple like really close trusted friends that were also doing the MMI, that we ended up like practicing together, like try not to burn yourself out with practicing, but just kind of meeting up, maybe doing like three questions and alternating between each other and just giving each other feedback. What's really helpful is, I'm doing this right now. If you get a chance to, pull out your phone or whatever and practice to say less like me, don't do so many hand movements, and then really monitor the way you speak in terms of speed, as I found that pretty helpful. And then when you get in, you can go back to your bad habits. Try not to go back to your bad habits. Your patients won't appreciate that, but I do find that helpful. And then when I was pretty nervous at the beginning, I remember just even as simple as practicing with my mom and my aunt, who are not doctors or medicine, but that was just, a little bit of an easy way to kind of ease myself in. I think I did start practicing around this time, Christmas time. I probably wouldn't practice as early. I think you should enjoy your Christmas, but I do think after Christmas, towards the end, I was trying to started practicing and reading around scenarios, and then definitely through all of January up to the interviews, I was practicing multiple times a week, I believe, multiple times a week in that group session I said, and kind of with friends, and I thought that was just really helpful. What else did I do? I think I did try like some different companies that I'm not affiliated with. I don't know off the top of my head, and I know a lot of the companies changed names throughout the last few years. Wow, I'm old. It's been a good 3-4 years since I've applied, but I would pay for like a session or two just to get some feedback. I thought it was like helpful. I don't think it was like a game changer, and I just picked a different one and get a sense of a different style. So that's an option. I mean, ideally, I didn't have this available to me, but I did this for some friends who are in a year below me to, if you have a medical student practice, acknowledging they can't like give you questions or exact things about your about what they got in their interview, because that would be like violating the confidentiality agreement. But it can be helpful to get someone to give you advice about maybe like medical ethics questions or kind of certain leans or stances towards the MMI. I would say like in a general sense, at least for UBC Med, almost anytime you have a question, it's almost I don't say like, I don't know how to say like, but in general, when you face situations, not like MMI, I think UBC Canadian, I think we always err on the side of trying to be as like respecting cultural diversity as we can, cultural competency, particularly in the area of like Indigenous health, and you know, transgender health, for example, trying to be more accepting, embracing. So that's almost generally where we're going. Ethics, usually trying to go back to the principles. I felt like there was a bit of an overemphasis on ethics if you go to like the student doctor network. But I'm, you know, I'm looking at that now because I wonder if that will be a factor now with residency. But I think there's a bit of an overemphasis on that. I think if I don't design questions and I haven't been part of the practice interviews, actual interviews, but I feel like in my mind, I wouldn't expect someone who's not in medicine or medical school to know all the principles of ethics and the exact ways to deal with situations. So that's something I think is less important. I think coming up with different like scenarios, like where you have examples to pull out a time of I had conflict. I think that's a really good thing to spend some time on, like coming up with a very concise way to describe instances where you had conflict, instances where you demonstrated good communication or faced a difficult, maybe not a difficult medical ethical dilemma, but a situation in which you're pulled by two different priorities, maybe something that's really tempting, or, you know, as in like your interest versus someone else's interest and your position of power. Okay, you wrote the Casper for Med School apps this year. Highly recommend the Bemo Casper book. It has great examples. Okay, I will check that out. Is it expensive, Jen? Maybe I'll give that a buy. Let's see. If possible, I was hoping to ask if you recommend participating in something like MD Consultants Interview Crash Course and mock circuits. I don't remember what their mock circuits consists of. So to be honest, I actually never did their crash course and mock circuits, but last year when I was more free, well, I'm technically affiliated with them. I'm technically affiliated with MD Consultants at this time. I did do one-on-one practice MMIs with people, and I think the people who worked with me benefited. It was a bit more customized, so obviously I'm biased, but I think just taking a course where they kind of teach you like strategies, like a formula, that's probably less helpful for you than if you can work with someone. If you, MD consultants, like at least if you work with someone like me, what I did with one of the guys that I worked with was just like digging deep. I think what I would do is, like, for example, if I met up with you on Zoom, I would get you to like bring your resume or just like tell me some different stories about you. And then we would kind of work through, like, I would help you come up with some nice examples of stuff to say. So for example, like, I would help you come up with like more ideas, because I think most people, like, if I ask you like on the spot, you're like, what is an example of your strengths and your good communication skills, like most of us blank, but we can come up and realize that most people feel like we don't have any, like, oh, I've never achieved anything, I don't have any good stories. And then if you're able to like dig some of those out, or come up with more like balanced and also like less generic ways to answer questions. That's really vague, but what's a good example? I don't have a good example of that, but yeah, if someone can work with you one-on-one and kind of really just hone in on your strengths or weaknesses, or just find that in particular, if you're really struggling with this particular type of question, whatever that is for you, just like doing tons and tons of that type of question for you, I think can be more beneficial if the cost is not too different. But I think a mock circuit would be helpful. Maybe I would think it would be helpful. You can let me know if it's not or is or not helpful, and pass on tips to the other pre-meds. But I would think going through at least a mock circuit could be helpful, just to get a feel of that kind of nerve-wracking experience of going through a lot of different stations in a row, and then you have to learn just skill as simple as you feel like you totally messed up the first station, and go through the next one. You have to go through like the next one, then you have to learn how to let that go and then kind of move on. It was $1 when I found the book online, but that was when the book is on sale. The Bemo Casper book. Okay, I will check that out. Bemo Casper book. Hopefully it's $1 still. I love good deals. Could I also ask if you had to tailor your MMI practice to the schools you received an interview? I heard there are slight variances between the med school for interviews. Yeah, they're like kind of different. So I interviewed at the schools I did MMI at were UBC, Calgary, and Queens. I didn't go in knowing that they were totally different, but I do feel like if you think about like what their schools like focuses are, they're a little bit, you know, different. I don't know if I would say I tailored the practice differently though. No, I think I would practice for all of these different ones about the same. If I were to go back in time, I think the only difference is so one thing I would probably tailor is I think the amount of time you're allotted to talk is like slightly different, off by a minute or so. So that might be helpful to practice, like, you know, just leading up to the interview, you're interviewing at Queens or at Calgary, just to practice with that particular timing, just so you're kind of a bit used to like how the speed that you should talk or that kind of thing. Another example, I believe, you're gonna have to blur myself out if I'm not supposed to say that, but I believe that Calgary is well known that they let people know that they have a group work session. So that's the one thing that I thought was unique about them, and you can think about how you want to approach a group workstation, so that's a bit different. I believe Queens, at the time I did it, was like a blended interview, so like they weren't just all MMI. Again, like I don't know how much has changed in the last few years, and then I can't remember if UBC still does this or not, but at the time of UBC used to always have like a writing station, and I think that was the only place I did a writing station at. So those are kind of some variances, I would say. I didn't really look like really deep into like UBC's mission, Calgary's mission into the interview. I do feel like in the end the MMI is like, you know, more generic than a traditional interview is. So I would probably just kind of practice the same, and then I would probably practice approximately the same and not worry too much about like exactly for the school. You'll probably be okay. And honestly, I feel like by the time you do all your practice for your first one, you're probably pretty good. Like you don't usually, you like usually end up being quite, like once you got a sense of what that, feels like. Jen, let me know if you finish all your interviews and get in. We should do, someone who is more up to date on the process should do interview videos, since I am an old fogey now. I have to go eat dinner because I'm a loser and I'm eating dinner at 9 p.m. Thank you for your questions, Jen. Yes, I will hold you to that. If you end up getting in, I would love to interview you, and then we can talk all about it, and I'll let you know how the Bemo book goes. Okay, thanks everyone, bye.